Vashon Owens of Minneapolis. Luke, of the 16 pro fights for Owens, 7 coming in the armory. Tonight will be the 8th.
Little hometown advantage.
Pink trucks for Vashon Owens. They're the southpaw, going back into the orthodox stance.
Yeah, but it's already switching stances. Not my favorite thing to do.
He's a righty by default here. He can sometimes float, though, as you see.
They're both going back and forth now.
Good jab from Owens from the southpaw stance.
Again, what you want to pay attention to with the stance switches, where do they switch? Do they switch through combination or do they switch in front of their opponent? And more to the point, if they do have opposite stance who is using lead foot positioning, you do not always have to have dominant outside foot positioning. Lead on the inside can be valuable just the same.
Both fighters, by the way, are considered orthodox fighters, but you're already seeing just constant floating and switching, looking to change their looks up. Both with good amateur backgrounds. Vashon Owens, a 4-time Minnesota Golden Gloves champion with a record of 105-17 in the amateur ranks. And Abdukahkharov, he had 280 victories, was a 4-time national champion in Uzbekistan, but never went on to compete for them internationally, ended up turning pro.
By the way, not much of a feeling out period at all. These two getting right after it.
See, they have a similar amount of pro bouts coming in, 19 for Abdukahkharov, 16 for Owens, but Abdukahkharov nearly double the pro round experience. Some of that is that power that you see under Vashon Owens' record, 13-3, but 12 KOs and 13 wins.
Yeah, Abdukahkharov switching in both ways, switching on the outside that his opponent can see him do it, and then through combination as well.
Owens not afraid to put his punches together here.
Yeah, Abdukahkharov planting his feet and then trying to use trunk movement, but Owens jabbing his way around it.
Fighting at very close range here in the first round. This will be a 10-round bout in the 147-pound division.
We can't quite say yet, but it looks like what... Let's see here. It looks like what Abdukahkharov is trying is that whatever direction he begins to move... that's not quite true, no. I was going to say he was trying to move no matter where into his power side, but that's not the case.
Counter right hand from Abdukahkharov. Both fighters countering effectively with the right. Feeling out process right off the bat as they let their punches go here. Good first round.
Great combination from Abdukahkharov to end the frame there. What would you say, BC? You think Abdukahkharov took it?
You certainly could debate it either way, as both had their moments. Was he a little bit busier, established that jab a little bit more? It certainly could make the argument there. So Abdukahkharov, overall, maybe you could say has the better experience as a pro, but his opponent here, no shortage of big names on his resume, meaning Vashon Owens. And here's a look back at some of the action in round one.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of chasing there a little bit, but he was leading with the left hand and then just didn't back out quick enough, and his opponent, Owens, was able to counteract. Parries the jab, then he triples it up, and then as you can see here, he follows Abdukahkharov as he tries to use trunk movement around. That's good work from Owens.
Owens, 31 years old. He's fresh off a loss against Alberto Puello, the unbeaten fighter who will be taking on Rolly Romero in April for a 140-pound title.
That'll be a normal press conference.
Puello won the vacant WBA title in his next fight after defeating Vashon Owens. That came in December of 2021. So a long layoff here for Vashon Owens that he's snapping back in his home city. I talked about Vashon Owens' experience. You look at his two other defeats, Cordell Booker, a name we know well, and Sebastian Fundora had a stoppage victory over Vashon Owens in this very ring in April of 2018.
Good defense there from Owens, keeping his hand up and moving it as needed to block a lot of the attacks from the left side. You see, when they switch like that right in front of their opponent, if you're far enough away, the idea is that they can't leap into range and get you. But when you switch, if you're not careful and you don't do it quick enough, I've had many boxers tell me they love it when opponents do that because they can time the actual switch and you're square right in the middle of it and they can pop you for it. So far hasn't happened, but the way in which Abdukahhorov is switching could lead to that if he's not careful. And he puts together a great three-punch combination with a delayed timing on the final left hand.
The right hand from Owens to regain some respect. I don't know if you can see it in terms of the eye test, but Owens' reach 6 inches longer on paper than Abdukahhorov.
If you watch, Abdukahhorov is at times punching and then posting on the shoulder to prevent some of that. It's been mixed success, but he's trying, and you can see he's doubling up on the jab to try and negotiate that distance. So he's aware, and he's got some tactics. We'll see how successful they are as the fight continues.
No matter how you have it scored through a round and a half, impressed by the hometown fighter Vashon Owens, bringing the fight to Abdukahhorov right off the start, using that reach, trying to surprise him with clean punches.
Owens is doing a good job countering Abdukahhorov when he extends too far on his power punch.
And Owens can keep up the mentality here of the spoiler. Try to send Abdukahhorov to his second straight defeat. Both fighters returning for the first time since December of 2021.
It's a better round for Owens for me.
Certainly can see from the body language how confident he is each time he's able to build behind that jab. Final 10 seconds of round 2. Our featured attraction in the welterweight division. 10 rounds here. And Abdukahhorov and Owens. Big right hand late from the Uzbek.
I'm not sure I heard the bell.
Slipped in there. 2 rounds complete. You'd have to say, Luke, of our 3 fights on this evening's preliminary card, the best back and forth action we've seen up to this point.
I mean, I think the last 2 fights before this, we called like 5 seconds of action. Here we go.
Spectacular finish, of course, earlier from Mikkel Spencer. But here's the pictures from round 2. Better round for Vashon Owens, it seemed like. As he loops around with the right hand. Good counter shots against the hard-charging Abdukahhorov.
Yeah, they're both kind of, I mean, they're just swinging there right in front of each other, quite candidly. At that stage of the fight, they're just exchanging. But on the outside, they're trying to pick their entries, trying to figure out exactly what the best way is and what stance is going to yield the most results. So far, they haven't quite figured it out.
Certainly wouldn't call Abdukahhorov's countering textbook from the idea of technique, but those right hands are loopy, but they get there. They certainly do.
Owens showing several signals that he's tired of being punched in the head.
For as much as they've done switching back and forth, Luke, the orthodox stance for one Vashon Owens seems to be the most productive behind that jab for him.
Yeah, he's forcing a lot of changes, and now he's leading with center ring, putting Abdukahhorov on the back foot, but he's still kind of waiting for Abdukahhorov to go first, and that's tripping him up a little bit. He's got to find ways to feint or fake a reaction and then use that to go second.
Pressure of Vashon Owens forcing Abdukahhorov back to the ropes here in round 3. Good counter right hand from Owens as they stand and punch with each other.
A little bit of a clash of heads.
They have 3 defeats coming in, but Vashon Owens fighting like a very confident veteran here. They have the hand speed advantage, and we talked about that length, working behind that big jab, 73.5-inch reach. Pace
has slowed a little bit here in the third. I think as both guys are trying not to walk into the obvious stuff and still getting a nice combination there from Owens.
Certainly having the edge in speed and accuracy, which is potentially explainable of why Abdukahkhorov's output has gone down. That big jab of Owens continues to find him first.
But you see both guys are kind of jousting. Like neither is faking or feinting an opening. They're just going. See that? They're just going. They're not using any kind of shoulder or foot or hip feint to draw reaction and then go more safely. As a consequence, both are getting hit a little bit more.
Final 20 seconds of round 3. This welterweight featured attraction, wild right-hand lead from Abdukahkhorov comes up empty.
I think Owens mocking the punching mechanics of Abdukahkharov.
Very similar to the veteran Eric Morales against Danny Garcia in their first meeting in Texas many years ago. Good action to close once again, but it seems like Vashon Owens in a little bit of a groove here through 3 rounds.
A little bit slicker, a little bit more accurate. Certainly Abdukahkharov landing, though, just by virtue of how open Owens is and the overall amount of punches he's throwing. He's kind of leaping into range there. Owens doing a pretty good job, as you can see, getting out of the way of most of that or deflecting or blocking it. Jabs on point.
He's had better head movement, better technique. But as awkward and unorthodox as some of those looping punches from Abdukahkharov are, those are the type of punches that can catch you when you don't expect them.
Very responsive in the corner and talking to his corner.
Like we mentioned, tonight's main eventer, Jeremias Ponce from Argentina, promoted by Marcos Maidana. Was there an elite fighter who ever did it better from Maidana from the standpoint of taking the unorthodox, taking the bizarre, the corkscrew punches, and making them work? How many times did you see in that first meeting when Maidana fought Floyd Mayweather, and he was able to pin him to the ropes with the threat of those airborne shots from different angles?
Manuel Augustus has a claim as being a very good unorthodox
drunken master.
fighter.
Could switch stances and dance with the best of them.
He was interesting.
Round 4 here between welterweights. Good quick jab from Vashon Owens with a right hand behind it. Very least good matchmaking in this featured welterweight attraction as Vashon Owens is giving Abdukahkharov all he can deal with in terms of the length, the speed of these punches.
Abdukahkharov a little bit more physical when they tie up like this. Now, it didn't matter because the referee intervened, but pay attention to it. He seems to be unwilling to, if in general, invite referee contact to separate, and he is forcing a separation like this. The referee got involved. But pay attention, he likes to punch through all of that by getting the referee kind of away.
See if Abdukahkharov can begin to use his physicality better inside to slow Owens down. Neither fighter committing to the body much here as we continue to trade jabs.
Abdukahkharov was doing it earlier, you're right, but he's gotten away from it this round.
Both fighters seem to also have gone away from the southpaw switching that they did in the opening round.
Also, I got to say, again, it could be part of the game plan to bait him into a trap like that and make him overcommit, but you're not seeing a lot of ring cutting from Owens. Kind of just sort of waiting in center position. And there's a little bit of pushing back there, but you see how he's letting him escape to either side. He's not really kind of cornering him. And now he's along the same rope line as him, right? No longer, he moves back to center there, but he was momentarily giving away positions. Also turning away from Abdukahkharov and kind of taking some big punches for it.
Abdukahkharov had turned southpaw before that. Landed big shots as Owens was slow and covering up, almost turned to the side opposite Abdukahkharov, but here's Vashon Owens looking to make that sequence up as he walks him down. Big left hand from Abdukahkharov.
2 of them got through.
Hear the crowd buzzing there at the Armory in Minneapolis. Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas on the call here. Showtime Boxing Countdown. Our final bout of 3 featured preliminary fights. This one in the welterweight division. And a competitive start.
I think Owens is waiting around a little bit too much. He's jabbing here. I like this a little bit better. That's a nice right hand as he moves to his own right. And you can see him switching stances. That's another right. Here I am criticizing him.
The speed is a problem for Abdukahkharov. Good finish for Owens after it was the Uzbek fighter who had big moments there at the end of that round.
Yeah, for sure. He may have stolen the round. I was going to say, prior to that last push, he was kind of waiting around a little bit too much. I think I would love to see him, to your point, jab a little consistently to the body. He fakes up to the top and can't quite convert. Good jabs there. Triple jab. It's an attempt. Kind of a left hook, and he passes him by. There's the other one. Then he grabs the head and kind of frames. And then he turns away. Listen, folks, you could say that's dirty, but the rules are what the rules are. Protect yourself at all times. The referee did not intervene. You cannot turn your back like that, even if you feel like the other person shouldn't be throwing.
Like, you turn your back away from a fighter, you can be stopped. The fight can end right there.
Right.
Under the true jurisdiction of needing to defend yourself and remain competent. But 4 rounds complete here in this spirited welterweight featured fight. See who can make the adjustments. Both looking to bounce back from recent defeats. Both coming off of layoffs lasting longer than 1 year. As you can see, letting their hands go on the inside. Sharp right-hand counter from Vashon Owens in the pink trunks.
Credit to both fighters for fighting through the clinch there and not letting the referee decide that. So here's Owens backing him up with jabs again. Let's see what he can convert with it.
Each time Abdukahkharov does experiment with southpaw, it tends to slow down that jab of Owens. The pace slows here in the first minute of round 5.
But if you're Owens, you probably like this style a little bit better. It's still very close, and he is hardly running away with it. But this is probably a more preferable option than to some kind of rock'em sock'em, trade him in close bout.
Owens doing a good job of moving with the punches. Even as Abdukahkharov is landing, he's able to lessen some of that blow by moving with the punches and moving away from him.
I got to say, though, one thing I'm seeing from Owens here, you see how he's single-shotting everything? Right? He's kind of putting a punch here, a punch there. I would like to see him begin to put a little bit more 1-2, 1-2-3, put combinations together. If you just notice, Abdukahkharov...
Big right hand from Owens.
Right. If you just notice, he kind of stays where he's at for the most part, especially in this stage of the fight, right, where he's not moving as much. Throwing in some body punches, to your point, could do Owens wonders.
Owens still the aggressor. Very confident posture. Good little pockets of two-way punching as we've seen each round here.
Yeah, I got to say, though, Owens is just letting Abdukahkharov escape off the ropes. I would love for him to be a little bit more present about cornering the options. Nice right hand from Abdukahkharov. You see that? He put it in his face, held it as a frame, and then threw the power hand behind it, the right hand. Great work.
Much as Vashon Owens has showed us what appears to be a speed advantage, the power advantage in terms of punches moving visually their opponents has been in the direction of Abdukahkharov. The 29-year-old from Uzbekistan, he calls himself the Punisher.
Yeah, again, Owens, I think for my liking, waiting around a little too long and single-shotting. He doubles it there but doesn't put anything else behind it with the right hand. You see that? How he threw a single punch and then paid for it right afterwards. You got to put a couple of them together to deter him from doing that.
I think he's reluctant to do that each time Abdukahkharov goes southpaw because of how much it could leave him open for that left cross. Quick hands there from Owens to try to finish the round strong.
Abdukahkharov may have taken that one. It's close. It's a close, competitive fight.
Both fighters having their moments there in that round 5. We've seen that the last couple rounds in terms of trying to decide for the 3 judges ringside, should this go the full 10-round distance? What did you prefer? Here's a look back at what we saw there in round 5.
Nice right hand as he moved back there from Owens. But that's a beautiful right hand there from Abdukahkharov. And this is where he posted, eats a body shot. And this is what I mean about letting Abdukahhorov retake center like that. I would just like to see him make him work, because also it makes them work more, right? If they have to constantly circle the perimeter of the ring, it's just literally more labor. I would like to see him try.
Owens has the edge in overall visible tattoos compared to Abdukahhorov.
He certainly does, but who knows? Who knows, BC?
Round 6, welterweights. Our featured preliminary bout. Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas on the call with you. Top of the hour, of course, 9 p.m. Eastern is the start. The Showtime Championship Boxing triple header.
So I misunderstood. There are times when Owens is complaining about shots to the back of the head, and then each round he starts by patting himself on the top of the head, which I now think is unrelated to those other claims.
Maybe complaining about being held down. Good leaping left hook from Abdukahhorov.
He's getting off first, right? I mean, who's the one that's going here? He's the one that's going, at least in that particular moment. Here's another one with Owens walking right into a punch.
Owens also was able, though, to get off that lead right hand that stung Abdukahhorov. That shot's going to be there each time Kudratilllo goes to that southpaw stance.
You see, after Owens throws the right, he doesn't move. So Kakharov just waits for it and then throws a right just behind it and lands cleanly. He's done it 2 times in this round already. There he is. You see him framing? He did the old Isak Cruz, BC, we talk about it all the time, where he gets real low and then throws up over the top of his own shoulder. He just did it framing off the jab and then throwing the big overhand just behind it while Owens is waiting for it.
Abdukahhorov turned pro in 2015, 280 amateur victories. Born in Uzbekistan, but as we mentioned, fighting out of Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia sounds like a nice vacation spot, Luke.
It's a long flight.
I just survived London. I'm building up. I'm building up.
I was about to say, it's about 2 of those. But you're probably right. I would love to go.
Back to southpaw for Abdukahhorov. An uppercut on the inside from Owens.
It looks to me at this point, too, Abdukahhorov is just doing more work.
Last couple rounds, I'd agree with you.
Right. Not the totality of the fight, but certainly of recent.
Owens commanding that center of the ring, but as Luke mentioned, not doing a great job cutting off Abdukahhorov and keeping him cornered like right now.
That was a little bit better. He threw that left hook that forced him right. That's good, but then he opens him up so he can retake center. That's the problem.
Owens nods his head after 2 straight lead right hands against the southpaw stance.
Right, I should say that while I'm criticizing that, he's landing big punches. Uh-oh, what happened here?
Away. Could be an eye poke.
Referee or headbutt?
Let's fight. Seemed to be an accidental foul of some kind between the two.
See, I don't know when he does that, if he's complaining about shots to the top of the head or the back of the head. He's doing it constantly. Let's see this.
He will continue to have his hands full here.
Oh, they're trading there, basically just power shots. Pushing through, exiting off the right hook.
Abdukahhorov has made some nice adjustments in recent rounds. Slow down the output of his opponent and make this more competitive.
Both of them often throw punches off balance, though. They don't always have their feet underneath them, and they kind of reach past themselves as they try to throw. Again, this is where cornering comes into play, right? Because if they can't zoom past at an angle, you don't have to try and reach with your punches in those particular ways.
Very animated expressions on the face there of Vashon Owens in between rounds. Couldn't tell if he was singing the song that was overplayed in the arena.
I doubt that.
If he was having a fun moment with his trainer. Vashon Owens, a native of Minneapolis. We talked about at the famous historic armory there. Get some of the best fight fans in all of boxing, certainly in the U.S.
Main card hasn't even started. It's starting to look full.
How they roll in Minneapolis. Round 7 in this welterweight featured attraction.
What a counter jab from Abdukahhorov. Perfectly timed. Again, he's not punching with Owens. He's waiting just a split second.
Well, he's
behind
awkward.
him.
He's just a little bit off the normal timing and rhythm of most opponents. And as much as he can be telegraphing his right hand at times, because that right hand comes on a delay, he can find a home for it. He's very awkward to deal with. Despite that big amateur background, some of this rawness is working into the favor of Abdukahhorov. Something to continue to watch for Vashon Owens. His production has gone down, and I can't echo it enough. Each time Abdukahhorov goes southpaw, that jab from Owens from the orthodox stance just tends to disappear completely.
I just feel like as a general condition, Owens is giving Abdukahhorov too much space. There's just look at this. He has too much space to escape the corner, too much space to change stance, too much space to roam and switch and pull you into his punches.
3-punch combination from Vashon Owens. These are the areas he needs to step up the gas on the pedal there when he's got Abdukahhorov cornered and he's got him pinned against the ropes. Can he make him pay?
This is better.
Jab to the body from Vashon Owens, something we certainly haven't seen enough of between these two. Good spirited fight, and the right hand caught Abdukahhorov off guard. Each time he goes southpaw, you see the opening for that right hand lead from Owens. Be interesting if this one goes the distance, how the judges are seeing these very close rounds in which they're almost taking turns. You have 20 seconds of success. I'll come back while you rest.
You know, give credit to Abdukahhorov for his ring generalship. Right? It's a lot of work to move as much as he has, but more to the point, even if you want to say Owens is letting him out, he's the one initiating underneath the punches to then retake center. It's his initiative that's causing it. That's good work from him. Right, you see how Abdukahhorov goes just a split second behind Owens. That is directly intentional in some of these exchanges. It's where Owens has the most vulnerability. He's got it. In this particular case, he could walk into something, as you see he can do there.
7 rounds complete between welterweights. A spirited back and forth action here. Vashon Owens in the pink trunks. Kudratilllo Abdukahhorov across from him.
Kudratilllo.
I
don't think he's from Latin America. I could be wrong.
Here's a look back at the action here in round 7 as I work on my pronunciation skills.
Hey, look, we all are. Let he who's without sin cast the first stone. Good left hand over the top there from Abdukahhorov. And then getting out of the way of some of these counters. Abdukahhorov setting the terms, then getting out of the way of the secondary follow-up. It's just great work by him. And again, I want to go back. Look at how many times he escapes the corner and moves the fight back to the center for himself. He can't keep it because obviously Owens is marching into him and that makes it tough, but he's doing pretty good work of playing matador to the bull. You see it again there. Owens doing it at top of the head.
These are the rounds where it matters in a close fight. Both fighters snapping a 14-month layoff tonight. Both looking to bounce back from recent defeats. Many of these rounds have been closely contested, almost giving you the feeling that if someone did just a little bit more, they could steal it down the stretch.
Yeah, neither has really separated themselves from the other one to such a degree that they could coast or that they've already shown that they're far better. This fight is still, I think, anyone's fight. Referee warns Abdukahhorov get the punches up a little bit. That one was on the belt. Leaping left hook.
Pair of jabs from Vashon Owens.
Right hand gets through. Maybe it stumbled him as he went square. You can lose your balance when that happens.
Big pop from the Minneapolis crowd, sensing Abdukahhorov could be hurt. Owens putting his punches together well, snapping back the head of his opponent with the jab.
Beautiful right hand. Something caught Abdukahhorov. He looks hurt. He still looks a little bit wobbly.
Can 31-year-old Vashon Owens, fighting in front of his hometown here for the 8th time in 17 pro fights inside the historic Armory in downtown Minneapolis, can he finish what might be a hurt Abdukahhorov?
I do think you're right. Owens is headhunting him just a little bit. Would love to see him mix it up a little bit more. I think it would really open up his offense.
The thing Abdukahhorov has to avoid in this constant stance switching is squaring up. Take a little bit too long, getting too fancy on the back and forth, you can get caught. Can Owens time him with one of those big right hands?
Also, you've seen Abdukahhorov do it a few times, but if your opponent's going to give you this much room to move, you need to use that movement, even if it looks like you're backing up, to pull them into a trap. And you've seen it a couple times where Owens has walked into punches. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. There's another one. Perfect example. It looks like the person's backing away, and obviously they are, but they're backing away to set traps. Both fighters landing good right hands.
Final 20 seconds of round 8. Vashon Owens in the pink trunks.
I'm going to say slight advantage in power to Owens. It looks like his punches have more of an effect on his opponent than vice versa.
So maybe at this point in the fight, you could certainly argue the opposite of that at the midpoint, but we've seen some nice ebbs and flows here, but it looked like a big round for Vashon Owens. 2 rounds to go in this 10-round welterweight tilt. But a big round for Owens as they continue to trade momentum, trade shifts of adjustment periods. It was these quick right hands from Vashon Owens here in round 8.
Yeah, you can see him chasing with the jab, and that was that right hand as Abdukahhorov went square and bent over, didn't see it coming. It hit him clean, and it kind of wobbled him a little bit. He recovered. He certainly wasn't hurt that bad, but it definitely landed. Best punch of the round, I would argue. And I think this is what it shows, is that Owens needs to step it up in terms of the volume a little bit. When he is the one dictating the terms of the offense by virtue of frequency, Abdukahhorov has a little bit of trouble dealing with all of that. And by the way, combination punching too.
Last saw Owens in December of 2021, a 10-round decision defeat to Alberto Puello, who has since gone on to win the WBA title at 140 pounds and will defend opposite Rolando Romero in April. Abdukahhorov looking to bounce back from his own decision loss to Cody Crowley the same month in 2021. Here we are 14 months later, round 9.
That's better. That is much better from Owens. A little bit off balance and paid for it somewhat, but I love that he was putting those hands together in combination, changing the timing, changing the speed, changing the power. A little bit more of that, I think, would pay dividends.
What can Abdukahhorov do to change this momentum? Tried to work in the body shots, ate a stiff jab. Abdukahhorov still looking for one shot at a time. Not a great formula for success when you're not landing those big power shots.
Again, I give Abdukahhorov credit for his ability to move, but he has to turn that defense into offense. Just getting away doesn't count with the judges. You have to turn that into something actionable.
Did you say Kudratilllo Abdukahhorov starting to fade? It looks a little bit in this round.
Yeah, definitely. All that movement is definitely causing him to reserve and I think ration his offense a little bit. And again, the jab, consistent offense from Owens, I think it works.
Vashon Owens switching to southpaw here to try to find success in the tail end of round 9. Most of his success has come from orthodox with those short, quick, stabbing right hands. The rare times he's been able to put punches together in combination, that speed advantage has given Abdukahhorov trouble.
A left hand leaping with a right hook behind it landed well for Abdukahhorov.
Not much on those shots from Vashon Owens, but they're landing. Sometimes in close fights, that's what you need to get the nod from the 3 judges sitting ringside. Will their services be needed here as we close in on the Final 40 seconds of round 9 and a very close battle between two welterweights. Going to get back in the win column.
This is good work on the inside from Owens. I mean, a lot of it isn't necessarily popping Abdukahkhorov's head back, but he's putting together some better work overall.
3 straight jabs connect for Vashon Owens.
Nice right hand there. Catch and shoot from Owens. Great work.
One round to go. 9 in the book here. Welterweight featured fight of our Showtime Boxing Countdown show. Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell along with you on the call. Here are the pictures from round 9 as Vashon Owens started off very quick, Luke. Good combination punching, something we may need to see more out of him in the final round.
Yeah, you see a switching stance last minute as he attacks a squared Abdukahkharov against the ropes. You see him finding his opportunities here as he's pressing the action and making him... This is what I mean about the feints, though. You saw Abdukahkharov bring both hands out in front to stop what he thought was coming. If he can do that and pump and then go over to the top, right, fake and feint his way through, I think Abdukahkharov is there for the taking.
Some of the best shots Vashon Owens has landed in this fight, and particularly there in round 9, is when Abdukahkharov is exiting. Sometimes he looks he accidentally squares up on the way out, and you're seeing Vashon Owens find him with some of those sneaky right hands, whether it be a counter uppercut, a lead right. 3 minutes remaining.
All right, last round. Let's see who wants it.
Sportsmanship embrace of the half hug between fighters. Now we're throwing punches. Power punching from Abdukahkharov to get off first. Owens tried to work behind with that jab.
Yeah, Abdukahkharov is just having a hard time disciplining Owens with power at this stage. Good little short left hook there. The second one misses, but the first one was good from Owens. I love this from Owens, getting Abdukahkharov's back along the ropes. Not everything gets through, but it's such pressure, forcing him to work, forcing him to escape, and then eventually some of the combination punching bleeds through. I like this much better.
Owens works Abdukahkharov back to the ropes. Very much feels like this final round is up for grabs.
Abdukahkharov doing pretty well, jabbing in there, then throwing a power punch behind it.
You need, depending on the judges' scoring, to do a little bit more here, find a little bit of drama late.
The thing is this, even if you want to argue that Owens didn't effectively cut off the ring when he could have, and I think that's fair, the problem that Abdukahkharov faces is that he was the one backing up, and then would you say backing up, he landed the harder punches? I mean, at times, certainly, but probably not overall. I don't think you can say that. And so that's going to be an uphill climb against the judges if this finally goes the full distance.
Certainly have to like the volume of Owens compared to Abdukahkharov. He's done a much better job consistently finding a jab, and last 2 rounds starting to put his power punches together better in combinations as we see Vashon Owens.
Yeah, he landed a hard right hand that was short but very effective, followed by a left, and that has really got Abdukahkharov hurt. He is much more aggressively clinching as a consequence.
Very impressive performance regardless of how this ends here for Vashon Owens, the 31-year-old from Minneapolis. Fought with confidence right from the opening bell, using that speed and reach advantage. Good right uppercut on the inside.
He's kind of throwing like a shovel hook at times with that right. At times it's an uppercut, at times it's a hook, at times it's in between.
I wonder what, at the very least for visuals for the judges, how often has Abdukahkharov's back been against the ropes?
Right. Or just moving away from the aggression, however effective it may have been.
Big power punches late from Vashon Owens. 10 rounds in the books. It's up to the 3 judges sitting ringside, but a nice back and forth spirited effort here from these welterweights. Kudratilllo, Abdukahkharov, and Vashon Owens, who climbs the turnbuckles, gives a wave to the adoring home crowd.
Who do you think won, BC?
Shouting out mom at home potentially there. I certainly like the overall volume and ring generalship of Vashon Owens. Some of the punches, the bigger punches in the middle round certainly came from Abdukahhorov, who was game throughout as we look at the highlights from the final round here, round 10. But it was Owens that seemed to have hurt him twice in the second half of this fight. And at the very least was, like I mentioned, the ring general, walking him around, cornering him, not always keeping him there, not always throwing as many shots as you would want to maybe leave no doubt. But if you're asking me who my unofficial scorecard goes to in terms of leaning, it's definitely in the direction of Vashon Owens. But these three judges will have the final say here in Minneapolis.
My Lord, it looks like he fell on top of barbed wire. His shoulders are so cut to pieces from so much clinching and punching and the abrasion essentially from contact.
Look at that crowd. And it looks nearly full.
Looks
You
good.
talk
It's
about
a good-looking crowd.
Organic fight fans who get there early, certainly have their local favorites. Jamal James, the former world champion, tonight's co-main event of Showtime Championship Boxing, and Vashon.
After 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judges Scott Erickson sees it 98 to 92. Judge John Shorley sees it 99 to 91. And Judge Kyle Sheely sees it 97 to 93. All three judges in agreement for your winner by unanimous decision, Minneapolis' own Vashon